And on to the details now. Prime Minister Narendra Modi chaired a meeting of the Cabinet Committee on Security to review the situation, the ongoing and proposed mitigating measures in the context of the ongoing West Asia conflict. Well, the Prime Minister directed that a group of ministers and secretaries be created to work dedicatedly in a whole-of-government approach. Prime Minister also instructed the sectoral groups to work in consultation with all stakeholders. Prime Minister said that the conflict is an evolving situation and the entire world is affected in some form. In such a situation, all efforts must be made to safeguard citizens from the impact of this conflict. Prime Minister instructed that all arms of government should work together to ensure the least inconvenience to the citizens. Prime Minister also asked for proper coordination with state governments to ensure no black marketing and hoarding of important commodities. In the meeting, the expected impact and measures taken to address it across sectors like agriculture, fertilizers, food security, petroleum power, MSMEs, exporters, shipping, trade, finance, supply chains and all affected sectors were discussed. The overall macroeconomic scenario in the country and further measures to be taken were also discussed. A detailed assessment of availability for critical needs of the common man, including food, energy and fuel security, were made. Short-term, medium-term and long-term measures to ensure the continued availability of essential needs were also discussed in detail. The impact on farmers and the requirement for fertilizer for the Kharif season was assessed. Alternate sources of fertilizers were also discussed to ensure continued availability in the future. It was also determined that an adequate supply of coal stocks at all power plants will ensure no shortage of electricity in India. Several measures were discussed to diversify sources of imports required by chemicals, pharmaceuticals, petrochemicals and other industrial sectors. Similarly, new export destinations to promote Indian goods will be developed in the near future. Several measures proposed by different ministries will be prepared and implemented in the coming days after consultation with all stakeholders. Well, also in a post on social media, Prime Minister Modi said he chaired a meeting of the CCS to review the mitigating measures in the wake of the ongoing conflict in West Asia. He said, and I quote him, "We had extensive discussions on short, medium and long-term measures, including ensuring continued availability of fertilizers for farmers, diversifying import sources for key sectors, promoting exports to new destinations and more. We are committed to safeguarding our citizens from the impact of the conflict." And moving to West Asia, several explosions were heard in parts of Iran's capital, Tehran. Israel's military said it launched a wide-scale wave of strikes in the Iranian capital early on Monday morning. Posting on social media, IDF said it has begun a wide-scale wave of strikes targeting Iranian terror regime infrastructure in Tehran. Iran's Fars news agency said airstrikes had targeted 5 areas of the Iranian capital and that terrible sounds of explosions have been reported. Also, Iranian media reported death of 1 person in attack on radio broadcaster in coastal region. Meanwhile, Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates reported coming under fresh attacks on Monday morning with explosions and sirens sounding over the oil-rich Gulf. The Saudi Ministry of Defense said it had detected 2 incoming ballistic missiles targeting the capital on Monday, one of which was intercepted and the other fell in an uninhabited area. The UAE Defense Ministry said it was currently responding to incoming missile and drone threats from Iran, explaining the sounds heard as the result of the air defense systems intercepting missiles and drones. Iran has also threatened to hit energy sites in the West Asia after U.S. President Donald Trump threatened to attack the country's power plants if Tehran does not open the strategic Strait of Hormuz. Iran's Parliament Speaker Mohammad Baghir Ghalibaf said energy infrastructure and desalination plants of U.S. allies in Gulf could be irreversibly destroyed if Iranian power plants are targeted. Iran's primary military command, Khatm al-Anbiya Central Headquarters, issued a statement warning that power plants in countries hosting U.S. bases would be considered legitimate targets if the United States attack Iran's power facilities. Well, the statement came in response to remarks by U.S. President Donald Trump threatening to target Iran's power infrastructure, according to Iranian state media Islamic Republic of Iran Broadcasting. Trump threatened on Saturday to hit and obliterate Iranian power plants if the country fails to fully open the Strait of Hormuz within 48 hours. Well, earlier on Sunday, Iran's President Masoud Pezeshkian said the Strait of Hormuz is open to all except those who violate Iran's territory. Iranian Minister of Foreign Affairs Abbas Araghchi also insisted that the waterway was not closed, indicating that the U.S. and Israel were responsible for the recent disruption. Earlier, Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps warned that it would completely shut the Strait of Hormuz if Trump executes his threats to attack Iranian energy facilities. Well, the airstrikes and explosions continued on Sunday, the 23rd day of the U.S.-Israel-Iran conflict. Explosions were heard in eastern and western Tehran on Sunday night, and Tehran's air defense system was continuously activated to intercept the incoming projectiles. Missiles were seen overhead in Israel and the West Bank, and Israel attempted to intercept an Iranian missile attack on Sunday. The Israel Defense Forces said on Sunday that the Israeli military struck Iranian weapons production and storage facilities. The Israeli military said hours later that it was striking Tehran in response. Iran has also retaliated with drone and missile strikes against Israel, along with Jordan, Iraq, and several Gulf countries. Attacks that Tehran says are targeting U.S. military assets, causing casualties and damage to the infrastructure. Well, Israel also struck a main bridge linking Lebanon's south to the rest of the country on Sunday after ordering its military to destroy all crossings over the Litani River and to step up the demolition of homes near the southern border. The destruction of bridges and homes marks a significant escalation in Israel's military campaign in Lebanon. An International Energy Agency chief, Fatih Birol, warned on Monday that the situation in West Asia is very severe and worse than the two energy crises in the 1970s put together. In an address to the National Press Club of Australia, the IEA chief said that the global economy is under major threat from the energy crisis caused by the West Asia war. Birol warned that no country will be immune to its effects and stressed an urgent need for global efforts to resolve the crisis. Birol also said that the biggest solution to the ongoing crisis is the reopening of the Strait of Hormuz, which Iran has effectively blocked following the U.S.-Israeli attack on the country. The head of the International Energy Agency said on Monday that at least 40 energy assets had been severely or very severely damaged in the West Asia due to the war in the region. He compared the current energy crisis to those of the 1970s and the impact of Russia's 2022 attack on Ukraine. And India's Akhilesh Suman joins us for more on this. Well, Akhilesh, with Prime Minister Modi reviewing the situation himself, how significant is the government's whole-of-government approach in shielding India from the economy and energy fallout of the ongoing West Asia conflict?
Yes, exactly. That is what Prime Minister Narendra Modi is doing. That in the last night, he had a very important meeting of all the important ministers of his cabinet. And some of the major points of this meeting was that how to safeguard the interest of India and how to keep India insulated from the crisis being, coming from the situation in the Gulf West Asian region. And that is why Prime Minister, directed the minister that, supply inside the country should be smooth. It should be coordinated properly with the states. And it has been told to the cabinet minister that this should be coordinated with the states. There should be no hoarding and there should be no black marketing of the essential items. So I think it is a big message from Union Government of India and states coordination with the states is very important thing because these are the states who maintain the law and order situation in the respective region, and they also maintain the whole smoothness of supply chain. So in that situation, Prime Minister Narendra Modi is holding the cabinet meeting was very important. Other than that, there was CCS meeting also. And there, in that meeting, it was reviewed that how security might be affected because of the coming crisis in the Gulf region. So I think that was very important meeting yesterday, and directions have been given to the officials concerned, both the state governments and in the union government. And I think that we have been seeing, last few days that, crisis of LPG is also coming down. Panic booking of LPG is also going down. And, mechanism is working that, consumers, first phase, domestic consumers were insured. And now in the second phase, all restaurants, canteens, where many eateries, even joints, they are being told that you will be also giving commercial cylinders. So in that way, one of the major things that is happening now that consumers, domestic consumers, and also the commercial outlets, both are being assured that you can undergo the activity because that many of the people who are working in the offices, they need canteens, they need some outlets so that they can have their food. So in that way, I think proper management is being done. Crisis is there. There is no doubt. It is a huge crisis for a country like India, but that is the largest population of the world. But if proper coordination is done between the states and the center, the situation might be under control effectively.
All right. Also, Akhilesh, with the war in its third week now, given the escalating tensions involving Iran, Israel, and the US, and the warnings from the International Energy Agency about the severe global energy crisis, how do you assess the current scenario?
I think IAEA is completely right because given the situation that threats are coming from both the sides, rockets, missiles are fired from both the sides, and a new trend has emerged that they are also threatening to attack the petroleum hubs. Also, gas hubs have been attacked. Israeli told that they had just attacked the processing units of the gas, but you don't know that how it will escalate. And just today morning, I have seen a tweet from Donald Trump's side that peace through strength. So I think there is no second thought in the U.S. side that about whether the war can be stopped or not. So I think this is a very difficult situation for organization like international energy because they used to ensure if you remember in the first phase they have released some petroleum from their own stock. Some other countries have also started releasing, but if the situation continues like that, no one can have the so much of stock that they can provide for a long time. And I think in that way, the press conference of the International Energy Organization, I think it is very important. It is a reminder to both U.S., Israel, and also to Iran that if the situations continue like this, it will be difficult. And we have heard that Donald Trump saying that he has given 48 hours ultimatum to Iran to open the Strait of Hormuz. Iran's foreign minister is telling that Strait of Hormuz is open for everyone except the enemies. But we have not seen this on ground because many of the ships are stranded in the Straits of Hormuz, not only of India but also of many countries. Right. So whatever is being said, it is not being done on the ground. And then now Iran is telling that if there is an attack from the US side on the energy establishments of Iran, then the Strait of Hormuz will be completely closed. So yes. I think that it is a very serious situation indeed. That is why everyone is talking to everyone. You have seen that Keir Starmer, the British Prime Minister, has talked to Donald Trump.
Right.
Kirit Starmer has also told that, opening of the Strait of Hormuz is very important. So in that way, how it is going to, how it will take the shape in coming days, it is a billion-dollar question. But the situation remains very serious, and it is escalating by every day.
Absolutely.
Nipakshi.
Thank you so much, Akhilesh, for all those details.